Welcome to episode 50 of the For the Love of Cricket podcast with Jim and Akim. We'll be discussing the just concluded T20 international series between the West Indies and England. West Indies finished the series on top, winning 3 games to England's 2. It was a very exciting series. High scoring, close games, lot of drama, excellent fielding. What's your take on the series that has just been concluded?
Well, we did back the West Indies to win the series, and they pulled through winning it. It was very close in the end, probably a bit too close for comfort, but credit must go to the West Indian team. I think they were well led by skipper Rahman Paul. I think the coaching staff did well with the team, and I think one of the good takeaways from this series was that they got contributions from almost everybody in the series. Everybody played a key part, and it was a total team effort in my estimation. So congratulations to the West Indies, and England's miserable time in white ball cricket really continues.
Let's get straight to the English point. What's the future for Jos Buttler?
He's been struggling with his captaincy. I think he might feel a bit let down at times by the performances of some of his players. You look at the World Cup, I think it was an overall bad showing from the team. It doesn't fall solely on him. I think the performance of the team in the end ended up affecting his performance. He's a world-class performer. He has proven to be a world-class performer over a number of years, and I think the captaincy is really having a toll on him now. The T20 World Cup is in 2024. It's an interesting time for them, because when you look at that team, do you really see another option for captaincy in that squad that they have now? I think that they really have to stick with him and probably stick through the World Cup, and then if the results are not to their satisfaction, then a change will have to be made. But I can't see a change being made between now and the World Cup.
This might be a left field choice. Ben Stokes?
That is a possibility. The thing with Ben Stokes is that I think he did surgery recently.
Yeah, but
so
he'll be playing in England's next test series.
yeah, so he should get back to fitness soon. A bit of a drastic change, I would say, going from Buttler to him, but the results have not been positive for Buttler, so it presents a situation where change would probably be needed. Stokes has been doing well with the test team, so there is some possibility there. It's good to see that Buttler at least returned to some form in the T20 series. He got a couple of half centuries there, so that is probably a bit of an upturn for him. And England were very commanding and dominating, I think, in the 2 games that they won in the series. So it was not all doom and gloom for them in that sense.
Yeah, Buttler has returned to some good batting form. He returned to the top of the order. But in addition to his captaincy, is this... I've been saying that I think he will make it to the summer as England's white ball captain, or at least a T20 captain. You guys have been probably not very supportive of me in that decision. You guys think that he won't make it past this West Indies series, which is, I think, would be a drastic change. But knowing England, knowing their media, anything is possible. We could hear on the 1st of January that Buttler has resigned. And we know when they say they resign, it's really he's been asked to step down politely and they replace him. But as you mentioned, there isn't anybody else that is shooting in that team to take over the captaincy. It's a tricky situation for them. I'm not very displeased by it. One less team for West Indies to get past in next year's T20 World Cup at home. On to the West Indies. You mentioned very good captaincy by Rahman Powell. I thought he struggled in those two games where England got over 200. I don't know if it's that he has struggled or his options were limited and he did the best he could do in the situations. What do you think about that?
I think when you look at the series and you look at the two games that they lost, they played on pitches that were probably very favorable for batting. When you look at the games, I think over 420 runs were scored in both of the games. One of the games it was
one was 460
yeah,
and one was 445 I think or 444 something like
and so it was a whole lot of runs being scored. When you look at the West Indian team, there was no wrist spinner that took part in the series for them. I think Moti was fairly good in the series. Akil Hussain, decent I would say. But when you look at who the best bowler in the series was, it was Adil Rashid from England. He bowled at an economy rate of under 7 runs and over. He picked up the most wickets in the series. He brought control to England's bowling effort, and he was also a genuine wicket-taking option. We've seen the trend of wrist spinners dominating T20 cricket in the franchises and at the international level, and it strikes out as an area that the West Indies are probably short in this skill set, especially going into a World Cup year, and it will be a World Cup that will be in these conditions. Whether the squad will change, you look at probably the just concluded Nagico Super 50 where Yannick Correa and Hayden Walsh were two standout wrist spinners in that tournament. We could possibly see one of them coming into the squad. But another area in which the West Indies struggled in this series was wickets inside the power play. I think after the completion of the first 4 games, they had only taken 1 wicket inside the power play all series. When you look at the 2 games in which England scored above 201, the opening partnerships were above 90 or above 100 runs each time. You have to strike in the power play and get early wickets. If you don't do that, especially against a squad like England that bats so deep, you're really setting yourself up to chase a total well in excess of 200, 220. So that is an area that we struggled in. So genuine wicket taking options was a problem. It's interesting that in the last game, because Andre Russell is somebody who has just come back into the team and he performed a number of roles in this series, but I think his best bowling effort, or best or second best bowling effort, was in the final game in which he opened the bowling. He opened the bowling and then came back and bowled at the death. So that is something that they will have to look at exploring. Probably. As I said, he is probably the most experienced player in that squad. In this series, I think it was a good move by Darren Sammy to bring him back into the squad because of the experience. World-class performer, proven performer. And his experience gave them a lot of options in different scenarios. So that is something that they will look at, but it's important in T20 cricket. It's often said that it's limited overs cricket is a game of restriction, but I think that you need to take wickets, and that's genuine. That's a genuine area of concern for the West Indies team.
Well, generally speaking, they say yes. They say it is a game of restriction, but the way these batters go these days, they can't restrict them. You have to get them out.
Yeah.
You have to look to take at least 7 or 8 wickets in a T20 game. You mentioned Adil Rashid and his outstanding performance with the ball. He was the slowest spinner on show. And you can see where he made it really difficult for the batters. His skill set is extremely, well, not extremely, it's quite different to the other spinners. When he, in the few overs where he went for more runs than his average, we say his econ rate was around 7 or less.
Yeah, just below.
Where the other spinners increased the pace on their deliveries, he slowed it down even more. It was taking forever to get to the bottom. It just hung there. his teammate Ryan Ahmed is a leg spinner as well, but he was a little faster and went for about 1.5 times the amount of run Rashid went for. Key point as well, Akil Hussein. He's a spinner that bowls pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
It's as though the English team has found a way to attack him. They are basically camping on the back foot to him. A number of back drives were played off him back over his head for 6, and a number of back drives between third man and extra cover region. So they were leaving the stumps, opening up the offside, and when he bowled that arm ball that he bowls quite frequently these days, they just push it back past him for 4 or for 6. You mentioned our 2 wrist spinners, Yannick Karaya and Hayden Walsh. Remember, Karaya played in the one-day series and went at just shy of 8 in his overs. So I would imagine he's going at 8 in a one-day international. I don't think that is really positive for him to be playing in a T20. The T20, he will be bowling a newer ball, a harder ball. We can see why he was left out of the squad. Hayden Walsh has played T20 internationals before. He started well, then he struggled. He has been left out. Had a brilliant Super 50 series. But let's dig deeper into him. Based on what you saw of him in the Super 50, and based on what I just mentioned about the pace at which Adil Rashid bowls, these World Cup games will be played in the Caribbean as well. How do you think he would fare if he was to be brought into the T20 squad?
I think he's probably somebody that I would go with. I think being exposed to international cricket as maybe a first timer or second timer, being dropped from the team, going home, doing his homework, working hard, improving his craft and coming back, I think he would be a much better bowler for it. He would be much wiser, I feel. I think in the Super 50 he really made the most of the conditions. He was attacking and he bowled very tight spells. I think in international cricket it will really require a lot of confidence and belief in your abilities. I think when you look at Rashid Bowl, you almost forget that this is somebody that has been playing international cricket for probably 14, 15 years, if not more. He's been playing international cricket for a very long time. He's been playing since he's a teenager and he's in his late 30s now. So you see the experience, the control, the self-belief in his art. He's bowling to some of the biggest hitters in the world in T20 cricket. And he has the confidence and the belief to take pace off the deliveries when everybody else is turning the pace up. So that shows ultimate belief in his skill and in his craft. That is something that will only come over time, as we've said, that Hayden Walsh is probably somebody that has played. It hasn't necessarily gone the best for him, and he had been removed from the squad. But I think he should be a better and more experienced bowler from all of that and how he has performed in regional cricket, and I don't see why he shouldn't be given an opportunity, especially with the squad lacking a genuine wicket taker. That being said, I think Gudakesh Moti was good, especially when the conditions slowed down a bit. He's somebody that I always liked as a left-arm spin bowler. I think he has good control in pace, good variations, and he's a wicket taker. I think he was good. He bowled some key spells, and he was a big factor for the West Indies in the games that they won.
Continuing on West Indies bowling, death bowling. Before we get to the death bowling though, in the 4th game, Alzari Joseph missed out and they brought Matthew Ford in. Given Alzari's pace, I was not very comfortable with that decision. I thought they would have brought in O'Shane Thomas as a direct replacement for Alzari to bring pace on the ball, given that we have some all the other bowlers are medium pacers outside of the spinners, to add some point of difference. And Matthew Ford struggled badly. At one point in his first over, he was up to the stumps. um, England ended up making 267, the second highest score by a full member nation in T20 internationals. I think that lack of pace also hampered us in the death overs, where we, at no point in the game it looked like we could restrict or take any wickets. What's your thoughts on that fourth game?
It was interesting, I think. I was surprised that Matthew Ford played in that game. I think it was probably a decision taken with them thinking of giving him exposure, but in a game that would probably not necessarily cost the series. Maybe because it was a game that they could afford to lose. I hate saying something like that, but when you look at it, it's pretty much a precursor to the World Cup. They were leading the series 2-1. It was a game that they could afford to lose, but not lose the series, so they probably saw the opportunity to give him some exposure there, as opposed to playing him in the series decider. I think he struggled a bit. He was bowling to Phil Salt, who was just coming off a century. He was bowling to Josh Butler, who was also returning to form, and Josh Butler, who is a prime, premium T20 international batsman. So Matthew Ford struggled there. I think he's still fairly new to, well, he's definitely new to international cricket. He's fairly new to professional cricket as a whole. So on a whole, so it will take some time. He got some exposure. It is something that he learned from. It was an interesting decision, as you said, because I would have also gone pace on, but I can see some rationale to the decision.
Alright, and on to our death bowling. We said coming into the series that we were okay with the batting lineup, but a point for concern was the death bowling, and it showed up in the first 4 games. We struggled. Do you see any remedies for that? We have Russell, so that's 1 or 2 overs. We need 2 more.
It's an area for concern when you think of the options that we have. It's possibly O'Shane Thomas if he plays, Alzari if he plays, Jason Holder if he plays. Jason had an economy of about 10.3 throughout the series. It wasn't the greatest of series from Jason Holder. He has said that he wants to be in the World Cup squad, and as such he has declined taking a West Indies contract, and he has also declined going on the tour of Australia because he wants to play franchise cricket, franchise T20 cricket leading into the World Cup. It's an area that we've struggled with for a while. When you look at the options, I don't think anybody really stands out to me as a great death bowler. I don't see anybody that consistently lands Yorkers, consistently bowls slow balls, or is rapid enough to cause great concern in that area of the game. It's definitely an area that we need to work on, and it would be concerning if the plan going into the World Cup is just to bowl and then we try to chase whatever the team makes. That cannot be a solid plan. So it's the weak point in our bowling along with the power play overs, I feel.
Yeah, we got one. 2 or 3 power play wickets for the entire series.
I think 2 came in the last game.
Yeah. Death bowling is because what happened, you know, just like the 3rd and the 4th game, if the middle overs get away from you and you don't have the death bowlers to back it up,
Just
the total will be humongous. And even in that 267 game, we made what 190 something
Yeah.
because the death bowling by the English team. Even though they got wickets consistently throughout the innings, at no point they let it. Given the circumstance of the game, it was a high scoring game, very good pitch, small ground. They were able to strangle throughout the innings. We didn't have that option at all. Where do you see West Indies going into that World Cup as a favourite?
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're favorites for the World Cup, but I think that they should give very strong, very good accounts of themselves. When you look at how they played in 2023, they beat South Africa in South Africa. They beat India. Granted that it wasn't a full strength Indian team, but still a fine team nonetheless. They beat them, and they also beat the English team here. It's a team that is growing in confidence. When you look at the team now, there is Brandon King, who is in the top 10 in the world as a T20 batter. They also have Akil Hussain, who is in the top 10 in the world as a T20 bowler. And they have Shea Hope, somebody who has been in the top 10 in 50 over cricket. And I think he played some vital knocks here in this series, especially in the last game. I think somebody of his ability and somebody with his success in 50 over cricket is somebody that should be playing international T20. I think he has looked at that area of his game and is improved. He scored the most runs in the last edition of the CPL, and he's going to the IPL now, and he's looking to play more franchise cricket around the world. So I think he is somebody that we could look at playing the anchor role in the middle order for us. You look at the captain Rahman Powell, who since being captain is averaging over 50 and striking at 174. So those are brilliant numbers, I must say, Rafi. Those are very good numbers.
Beat it.
Yeah. So it all bodes well for the team, and I think it's a team that, being at home in home conditions, we should make noise in the tournament. We should definitely make noise. I wouldn't say that we're a favorite, but we should make some noise in the tournament.
You have anything else to add?
No, that's all from me.
Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.